Hey y'all, I've got some documents from the Michael Monkey Vaughan case that I wanted to share with you. My documents do have watermarks. If you would like them without the watermarks, they are available on my Patreon as well as other places. I wanted to go through this with you guys. I came in at the very, very end of this case. The only thing I know is that Michael Monkey Vaughan disappeared approximately 5 years ago, and that Stacy Wondra has always been suspected of committing his homicide. And I've always wondered why it took them so long to arrest him, so I suppose we'll kinda find out together. So this document was filed June 25th of 2025 at 15:38 hours in the 3rd Judicial District of Payette County. It is the state of Idaho versus Stacy James Wandra. It is a probable cause affidavit. And it reads, I, Detective Kellenher, the undersigned, being first duly sworn on oath, deposes and says, 1. I am a peace officer employed by the Fruitland Police Department. 2. The defendant is alleged to have committed the following crimes between the dates of approximately July 27th of 2021 through 2025. First charge is first degree homicide. It is a felony. Second charge, kidnapping in the second degree, which is a felony. Third charge, destruction of or concealment of evidence, which is also a felony. Number 3, the crimes were not committed in my presence. 4, I believe that there is probable cause to believe the defendant committed such crimes because of the following facts. In quotations, note, you must state the source of all information provided below. State what you observed and say what you learned from someone else identifying that person. On July 27th of 2024, neighbors reported seeing 5-year-old Michael Vaughan between approximately 18:15 and 18:30 hours military time in the area of Michael's home and nearby residences on Redacted in South Arizona and Fruitland, Payette County, Idaho. Michael knocked on some of his neighbors' doors, attempting to play with neighbors or in their yards. Michael was told to return home by all of the neighbors he contacted. At approximately 1845 to 1850 hours military time, Tyler Vaughan noticed his 5-year-old son, Michael Vaughan, was missing from their home located at Redacted in Fruitland, Payette County, Idaho. Tyler began searching his home and property for Michael. Tyler called 911 to report his son missing at approximately 1921 hours military time, and the Fruitland Police Department responded to the area. Fruitland Police Department and the Federal Bureau of Investigation, further known as FBI, along with their other local agencies and volunteers, searched for Michael over several weeks and now years. Through interviews, searches, and other corroborating evidence, all of Michael's family and household members have been determined to not have any knowledge of Michael's current location, nor were they involved in Michael's disappearance. All of Michael's neighbors on Southwest Ninth Street in Arizona have also been thoroughly investigated, searched, and interviewed, and have been determined by law enforcement to have not have any knowledge of or involvement in Michael's disappearance. The surrounding area was searched extensively, and Michael has never been found. Live sent K9 teams searched the surrounding neighborhoods August 2nd through 3rd of 2021 using a pair of Michael's shoes for Michael's scent. Out of approximately 300 homes, K9 handlers reported the dogs only showed interest in one house located at Redacted in Fruitland. This is the home of Stacy and Sarah Wandra. A canine handler also reported that canine Banshee showed interest in the area of the corner of Meadow Lark and Red Wing Street. The canine showed interest at the intersection and then headed straight to the fence and front door of the Wanderers' residence. On August 2nd of 2021, canine Banshee tracked scent down to a tree over the edge of the bluff of Southwest 8th and Three Rivers Way. Canine Banshee was determined to track the scent track into the thorny bushes under the tree, despite the thorns. A discarded child's stroller was located deep in those thorny bushes. On August 5th of 2021, a pink, quote, big flyer, unquote, tricycle was located behind the, quote, bluffs unquote sign at Three Rivers Way and Southwest 8th Street. During a search of the same area the day prior, the tricycle was not there. Jim Smith, who lives in the Three Rivers subdivision, later reported that he had found the tricycle over the bluff under a tree next to a child's stroller. Jim said he took it home to use one of the wheels for another project, but then discarded it after not removing the wheel as planned. Jim said he had left it behind the bluff sign for neighborhood kids to use. Kim Elko would later report to law enforcement that she had seen the tricycle in the Wandra's garage during a yard sale in the spring of 2021. Elko was able to describe the layout of the Wandra's garage and where she saw the tricycle on a stack of boxes. The described stack of boxes was still there during a later search warrant of the Wandra residence and garage. Dorothy Starkley, who was present at Redacted in Fruitland, reported on July 29th of 2021 that she saw Michael riding a quote big wheel unquote tricycle at the corner of Red Wing Street and Meadowlark Avenue on July 27th as she was either entering or leaving the neighborhood. Dorothy is seen on surveillance videos coming into the neighborhood westbound on Southwest 8th Street at 1825 hours military time and left the neighborhood of eastbound on Southwest 8th Street at 1925 hours. Other than Dorothy's report, there are no other reports of Michael being seen anywhere other than Southwest 9th Street and his next door neighbor's house on Arizona on the date of his disappearance. Video surveillance was gathered from security cameras in the neighborhood Michael disappeared from, as well as the neighboring areas. Michael is never seen on any of the surveillance footage that was obtained. Stacy Wandra is captured on surveillance footage driving a white Lexus and pulling into the parking area of the splash pad in the neighborhood off of Southwest 8th Street at 15:23 hours on July 27th of 2021. Stacy is seen exiting the driver's door, walking around the passenger side of the car, and appears to be testing the exterior door handle to see if it is locked. Stacy then walked back around to the driver's side of the vehicle, where he got in the driver's seat and exited the area onto Southwest 8th Street at 15:24 hours, 1 minute after arriving. Video surveillance shows an adult male walking the area of the Three Rivers Way at 18:08 hours on July 27th of 2021, and the same male is captured walking in the area of the neighborhood splash pad at 18:18 hours. The last image of the male is captured at 18:28 hours as he walked through the wooded area to the west back toward the area in which the Wandras lived. Brandon Shurtliff was identified in 2022 as being this person and told detectives during an interview that the surveillance video captured him as he was walking and searching for a missing child on the date that Michael disappeared. This video captured Brandon walking prior to Michael being reported missing. Brandon reported he was living with the Wandras on that date. On August 1st of 2021, Fruitland police contacted the residents at Redacted, Fruitland. On their initial search of the residence, they located Adrian Lucian hiding in a closet. Residents of the home on that date and on July 27th, 2021, were identified as married couple Stacy and Sarah Wandra and their sublets Brandon Shurtliff and Adrian Lucian. All four were interviewed on August 1st of 2021. Adrian was vague in his statements and wouldn't commit to a solid statement. He also refused to provide his social security number for identification confirmation. He provided Stacy's phone number as his own and concealed his real phone number from law enforcement. On August 21st of 2021, Sarah reported that on July 27th of 2021, she and Stacy slept until noon. Sarah said they left their residence at around 1700 hours to tow a vehicle to Kuna. Sarah and Stacy denied they were home at 1830 hours on July 27th of 2021. Cell phone tower and data surveillance footage show Stacy, Sarah, Adrian, and Brandon were in the area of their neighborhood at the time of Michael's disappearance. Sarah, Adrian, and Brandon returned to Fruitland, verified by surveillance, in Sarah's blue Toyota Corolla at about 17:08 hours, only to leave again at 17:12 hours. The Toyota then came back into the neighborhood again at 17:56 hours. Surveillance footage shows Sarah driving the maroon GMC pickup on July 27th, 2021, as she drove out of the neighborhood at 19:08 hours. Stacy has been identified as the front passenger seat, and Brandon was the driver's side rear passenger. Stacy, Sarah, and Brandon's phone data showed they were located as they left the neighborhood at 19:08 hours and drove to Kuna, Idaho. Adrian's phone did not provide any location data during the evening of July 27th of 2021. However, Adrian took a selfie photo in the guest bathroom at the Wandra residence at 19:26 hours. Wandra's maroon GMC pickup is captured on surveillance footage returning to their Fruitland neighborhood at 23:22 hours on July 27th of 2021, pulling or towing a silver Mercedes-Benz. Following Michael's disappearance, Sarah had a distinct change in behavior. Following Michael's disappearance, Sarah began to stand along the highway near Love's gas station in Ontario, Oregon, with signs stating to, quote, repent for your sins, unquote, and that the, quote, end of time was near, unquote.
What the fuck is going on here?
What? Continuing, Sarah's social media posts on TikTok and Facebook also changed drastically to religion and asking for forgiveness of her sins. Prior to Michael's abduction, Sarah had posted only approximately 11 videos on TikTok over 3 years. Following Michael's abduction, Sarah posted approximately 329 videos from September 15th of 2021 through December 24th of 2021. In TikTok videos Sarah made, quote, testimony, unquote, statements regarding her involvement in criminal behaviors and stated that she had broken all 10 of the 10 commandments. It should be noted that, quote, thou shalt not kill, unquote, is one of the 10 commandments. Sarah also alleged in her videos that it did not matter what sins she had committed because God had forgiven her for all of them. Michael's missing person flyer can be seen on her refrigerator in the background of some of her videos. Sarah was interviewed again by law enforcement on November 15th of 2021. Stacy was also interviewed. After being confronted with the photo of her leaving the neighborhood on July 27th of 2021 driving the GMC pickup at 19:08 hours, Sarah changed her story and said she was driving the GMC to get Brandon's Mercedes-Benz from Kuna to tow it back to Fruitland. Sarah said the trip to Kuna to get the car had not been previously planned and that it was Stacy who wanted to go get that car at that time and date. Sarah said she stopped at Southwest 8th and South Arizona on the way out of the neighborhood to input the address into the GPS. Sarah said she drove to 2518 North Snowbell in Kuna, which is Brandon's mother's home. It is worth noting Brandon was in the truck with them when they entered the GPS coordinates to go to Brandon's mother's house, and that Sarah and Brandon's cell phone data showed them at the residence earlier that day. Sarah said Brandon's mother, Tina Morell, was out of town. Sarah and Tina did not allow Brandon to have people in her home when she was not there. Sarah said Tina did not allow Brandon to have people in her home when she was not there. So Sarah and Stacy parked down the road, and Brandon used the back gate on the south side to enter Tina's residence so that her doorbell camera did not capture him there. Sarah reported that while towing the car back to Fruitland, the tow straps broke. Sarah and Stacy Wandra sold their phones, lost or sold their vehicles, and got rid of their furniture shortly after Michael went missing. Sarah was asked about changing her phones following Michael's abduction. Sarah provided two reasons. Sarah said they sold their phones because she and Stacy were splitting up, and Sarah said they sold their phones because a demon told her to do so. Sarah was still paying on the phones that she sold. Sarah was asked about her Facebook post and provided the following responses. Quote, I literally had like a demon tell me that I needed to leave my husband, unquote. Quote, I literally deleted all of my pictures. I have no idea what my passwords are. We had a fight. My husband and I had to sell our phones. We had to get new phones, and I can't access any of my stuff. So I do have Facebook, just don't have access to it right now, unquote. When asked about the vehicles Sarah and Stacy have, Sarah said the GMC pickup was repossessed. Sarah said she told Stacy when they heard the repo guys were coming to take the truck, quote, we are going to be the nicest repo they ever had today, unquote. Law enforcement was later told that the truck appeared to have been thoroughly cleaned prior to the repo. Following the interview on November 15th of 2021, Brandon reported Sarah and Stacy contacted him and they told him they were re-interviewed about Michael's abduction. Brandon said Stacy suggested Brandon come over to their place and create an alibi or write a letter on behalf of Stacy and Sarah saying that they were not involved in Michael's abduction. Tina Morale, Brandon Shirtlift's mother, was interviewed by law enforcement. Tina reported that Brandon's behavior changed after he lived with the Wandras. Tina explained that Brandon had become more depressed and withdrawn, spending more time playing video games and smoking marijuana. Tina would not tell law enforcement where Brandon was or what his phone number was at that time. Kay Ramsey, Sarah's mother, was interviewed and shown a picture of the tricycle described above. Kay claimed she found the tricycle in some bushes prior to Michael's abduction. Bushes that Kay described are near where Miss Smith found the tricycle just after Michael's abduction. Kay said that would be the reason her DNA would be on the tricycle. Kay said that after all of that effort, she left it at the intersection of the Three Rivers Way and Southwest 8th Street. Kay was 73 years old in July of 2021, and the bushes were very difficult to get to. Kay Ramsey also confirmed to law enforcement that Sarah and Stacy's dog had dug holes in the backyard of the Red Wing residence. Kay reported the dog had dug up what she later determined to be the ear of a green stuffed animal. Kay said she had thrown away the stuffed ear. Kay Ramsey is alleged to have withheld information or evidence in other criminal investigations involving Sarah in 2022. Then Kay initially concealed a firearm used in an aggravated assault in which Sarah was later convicted, and it gives that case number. When law enforcement met with Sarah on October 12th of 2022, Sarah said God told her he was going to help her find the boy. During the interview, at the first mention of Michael, Sarah became emotional and broke down crying in front of the detective. Sarah wrote a quote testimony unquote and said that if law enforcement read it, they would locate Michael. Sarah suggested God had forgiven Hitler for his sins, that God had redeemed Sarah for her sins. Christy Kutch told detectives prior to Sarah's arrest in April of 2022, she made a statement about Stacy being involved in the abduction of a 5-year-old boy. Christy said she made personal notes of their conversation. In June of 2022, there was a recorded jail phone call between Sarah and Christy where Sarah advised Stacy had been arrested. Christy asked if he had been charged with the kidnapping of a 5-year-old boy. Sarah recanted her prior statements, claiming that Christy misunderstood her prior comment. Also mentioned was how Sarah's dog was digging holes in the backyard. On November 5th of 2022 at 0:55 hours, Stacy contacted Fruitland Police and requested an interview at the Washington County Jail. Stacy provided vague details about events surrounding Michael's abduction. Stacy said Sarah's religious beliefs and behavior changes started within a couple of days after Michael's abduction. After Stacy's arrest for an unrelated incident, Stacy spoke of changing phones and or SIMS card to prevent law enforcement to follow or profile him. On November 10th of 2022, Stacy again asked to speak with Fruitland police detectives. Stacy wanted a quote deal unquote, the same officer that was given to Sarah Stacy wanted a quote deal, unquote, the same offer that was given to Sarah in the Michael Vaughan case. Stacy admitted Michael had been in his house the night of Michael's abduction. Stacy admitted the tricycle in his garage where Kim Elko had previously described seeing it. Stacy then said that when he first saw Michael, Sarah was carrying Michael into their home. Stacy said Michael was put into a duffel bag to transport out of their house to Brandon's house in Kuna. Stacy said Sarah was frantic trying to figure out what to do, and Brandon interjected, quote, "I have a duffel bag," unquote. Stacy described Michael as crying, and to prevent him from moving or making noise, Stacy described how Sarah taped Michael using duct tape. When asked who put Michael in the bag, Stacy said Brandon grabbed the bag and gave it to Sarah. Sarah picked up Michael as Aiden helped hold the sides of the bag open, and they shoved Michael into the duffel bag. Stacy described Michael was wiggling trying to get away. Stacy said he could see Michael in the bag with his knees bent up in the fetal position, while describing and demonstrating how Michael was taped and stuffed into the duffel bag in his living room. Stacy had a physical reaction and began violently vomiting. When asked if he was vomiting because of the chewing tobacco he was using, he indicated he was throwing up because of the stress of talking about Michael. Stacy provided two reasons they stopped in the GMC at the corner of Southwest 8th Street and South Arizona and Fruitland. One, for Stacy to put power steering fluid into the vehicle, and two, so Brandon could check and see if Michael was still alive because Michael was bound with duct tape and stuffed into a duffel bag in the bed of the truck. Stacy said she was able to hear Michael making noises like a dull scream. Stacy said they were worried about being seen because they saw a car parked off of South Arizona. Stacy said they drove straight to Brandon's mother's house in Kuna, Idaho, where Brandon grabbed both the duffel bags, the duffel bag containing Michael and a backpack, and went into the house by himself. Stacy said that once they arrived in Kuna, Michael was not making any more noises, and none of them had checked on Michael to verify he was still alive. Stacy said that Brandon told him he left Michael in the bag and put him in the spare room inside his mother's house. They then towed Brandon's car back to Fruitland. Stacy said Sarah, Brandon, and Aiden went to Kuna the next day to get Michael. The three of them thought Michael's body, the three of them brought Michael's body back to their house in Fruitland. Redacted. He stated that he was inside. Brandon was, quote, on guard, unquote, and Sarah and Aiden dug the hole together. Stacy reported he did not previously report this information because he thought he would still get into trouble and because he was fearful of Sarah hurting him. In an interview, Stacy told that Michael had a stuffed animal, quote, some sort of stuffed animal, I want to say like a dinosaur or a monkey. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh my God. And, quote, what I saw was a monkey. It was green and it looked like a green monkey, unquote. In one interview, Stacy advised the lime green monkey was a dog toy that he and Sarah gave Michael to keep him quiet while he was sitting on the couch in their living room. Additionally, Stacy stated that the idea to take a child to sell for money was Aiden's and they would get a $10,000 cut. Stacy was asked if Sarah provided any direction throughout any part of this. Stacy said that Sarah asked him and Brandon to, quote, follow her lead, unquote, which was to, quote, take the kid, unquote. Stacy recalled that most of the conversation at that point was Sarah trying to figure out what they were going to do. Sarah had asked Brandon, quote, where should we put the body? And Brandon was like, well, you guys can take him. Take him over to my house and we'll deal with it. And that will buy us some time, unquote. Following his interview with law enforcement, Stacy called his mother, Tamara Johnson, from the Washington County Jail on a video visit. Tamara asked Stacy if Michael was alive. Stacy shook his head and said no, and said, quote, Sarah accidentally killed him, unquote. Tamara asked, quote, how, unquote. Stacy said, quote, suffocation, unquote, and went to say, quote, they buried him in a duffel bag, unquote. After his interview and phone call to his mother, Stacy wrote an apology letter to Michael's parents and then attempted to hang himself in his jail cell, and he was rescued by Washington County jail staff. It should be noted that during some part of Stacy's interaction with the Washington County Jail prior to his confession and directions on where to find Michael's body, Sarah was out of custody and living back at the house on Red Ring Street, as evidenced by her being there when law enforcement arrived to execute the search warrant. Sarah could have had the time and ability to move any evidence from the property without Stacy's knowledge. In June of 2022, Sarah called Kay Ramsey from jail and spoke about spouses being able to testify against each other. In a recorded phone call from the Washington County Jail to Sarah, Stacy expressed concern that that Sarah was going to quote turn on unquote Stacy. Sarah confirmed that Stacy was referring to Michael Vaughan. Sarah told Stacy that she had already told her attorney she wasn't going to quote turn on unquote Stacy and that she wasn't going to testify against Stacy. Stacy then reassured Sarah he would never testify against her. As a search warrant was executed on Redacted on November 12th of 2022. Stacy described the exact location as to where to find Michael buried in the backyard of the residence. He instructed detectives through video chat. Sarah Wandra, who was located in the residence at the time, was detained. As officers read to her the search warrant, Sarah made several strange statements. Quote, wow, that is a lot. I definitely did not kill that boy. Unquote. Quote, the Most High God already told me who did it. So, unquote. Quote, oh, wow. Wow, the Most High God just told me that Stacy was the one who killed him and he buried in the backyard of Carson's house. Unquote. She also said that, quote, the Most High God, unquote, told her, quote, Stacy was the one that killed him and he buried him, unquote. Quote, the Most High God told me that Stacy was the one who did it, unquote. Quote, he wants me to make sure you understand that I had nothing to do with it, unquote. Quote, he said that Stacy buried him in the backyard by the shed, unquote. Quote, it wasn't actually Stacy who harmed the boy, unquote. As officers started to search the residence, Sarah asked several times if the officers had, quote, found him yet, unquote. Idaho State Police and Ada County Sheriff's Office assisted with the execution of the search warrant at the Wandras' residence, along with the 5 separate certified cadaver canines. Prior to officers digging in the backyard of the Wanderer residence, cadaver canines were deployed and alerted in the backyard of Redacted. A total of 5 certified cadaver canines were deployed and all 5 alerted inside the Wanderer backyard in the approximate area of where Stacy claimed he witnessed Sarah and Aiden bury Michael. Neither Michael nor his remains were located during the execution of this search warrant. Prior to excavating the backyard, law enforcement noted there were several areas in the yard that appeared to have been filled in with dirt or resodded. Kay and Ed Ramsey reported they had filled in areas of the yard where Sarah and Stacy's dog had dug holes. At various interviews after the disappearance of Michael, Stacy was asked what happened to his and Sarah's cell phones from July of 2021. Stacy and Sarah wanted to, quote, detract attentions so we are not on the radar, unquote. And that was the reason they sold the phones. When asked if there was evidence of the crime on these phones, Stacy said that there were text messages. Investigations revealed that the Wanderers changed their phones approximately 3 times in a 5-month period. Stacy described purchasing SIM cards to put in the cell phone to evade law enforcement. The GMC pickup was subsequently repossessed for non-payment. Stacy then called Kim Cars wanting to turn wanting the truck back or to borrow it. He also told them to, quote, hurry up and sell it, unquote. Stacy further advised that they sold the Lexus they had at the time that Michael Vaughan was abducted. Within a few weeks of Michael's disappearance, the Wanderers' iCloud data revealed Stacy and Sarah searched for rental houses in other states, financial assistance in different areas. Additionally, a photo of items boxed up was taken on July 30th of 2021 as if they were preparing to move. In summation, Stacy confessed that the four members of the household, Stacy Wandra, Sarah Wandra, Brandon Shurtliff, and Aidan Luciani, were all involved in the abduction and homicide of Michael Vaughan. Their home is in the neighborhood adjacent to the home where Michael lived and was last seen. The neighbor, Dorothy Starkley, saw Michael riding a tricycle near the Wandra home at the time Michael went missing. The same tricycle was seen in the Wandra garage prior to the abduction. That tricycle was discarded outside the neighborhood off of a bluff after Michael went missing. Kay Ramsey, Sarah Wandra's mother, claimed to have found it and moved it to the entrance of the neighborhood, which is refuted by the fact that another neighbor, unrelated to the case, claimed to have found it and placed it there. Kay's story does not account for the fact that the tricycle was in the house before being discarded and before Michael went missing. Lab scent track dogs were deployed, and the only house that they showed interest in was the Wandra house. That same dog showed interest in the area where Michael went missing from and the area where the tricycle was discarded. Based on the foregoing, your affiant is requesting that Stacy Wandra be charged with kidnapping and homicide in the first degree, as well as the concealment of evidence. And they signed it under penalty of perjury. I'm going to stop this video here and make another video and record Sarah's probable cause affidavit. I do want to explain to you that I am going to leave it as it is. I did misspeak a few times. The issue right now is that we are moving and my internet, if I download this video, edit it, and try to re-upload it, it will probably be tomorrow evening before I can get the video to upload. Whereas if I just upload it like this, it will be uploaded relatively quickly and you can get this information even quicker. So I do apologize for that. Once we get moved, which should be within the next 3 to 4 weeks, hopefully, fingers crossed, things will be better. I do want to thank you for watching this video and ask you to please hit the thumbs up on the way out. Please keep Michael's family in your thoughts and prayers. This is horrible.